Greetings, folks. Richard Fulmer here, and welcome to another one of my Richard's Rock Rambles. So the inspiration for today's video actually comes from a guy I know here on YouTube. He has his own channel, a certain John Bellamy. His channel is worth checking out, by the way. Very good with the prog stuff, and yeah, he certainly knows his music. So anyway, the last video I had, I was showing you what I'd been listening to. And one of the albums that I picked was Budgie's Never Turn Your Back on a Friend. And in the comment section down below, John asked me, what would be my sort of top Budgie and what would, the ranking kind of thing. And I had done a Budgie video, but about 4 years ago, so it was a long time ago. And it was more of a sort of a general thing about Budgie. And so I thought, okay, what the hell? Let me do a video on ranking the albums of Budgie, the studio albums that is. There are a few live ones, but I'm sticking to the studio stuff this time around. And yeah, just please remember that this is my personal ranking. It's not cast in stone. It's not what it should be. It's not like this has to be number one, that has to be number whatever. You might have a different opinion on the album. So please, in the comment section down below, let me know. It'd be great to hear from you if you're a Budgie fan. What do you consider to be your number one? There were 11 studio albums. What is your number 11? What is your number one? You can give me your top 5, whatever. It'd be great to hear from you guys. So yeah, that's what we're going to do today. We're going to have a look at the Welsh band Budgie. How would you class their music? Their sound changed a bit in the 80s. I think to try and keep up with the times, as it were. Right at the beginning, they were sort of a proto-metal band. They could get pretty heavy. I mean, some of the riffs these guys came up with could equal and rival anything that Black Sabbath had at the same time. They just never quite made it to the next level, for whatever reason. I think I mentioned in my previous video that I did on Budgie that perhaps it was their image, perhaps it was management. There's so many things that go into a band being successful. Sometimes you just get lucky. It's just lucky breaks. And I think as far as they go, Budgie had them in short supply. They didn't get many lucky breaks. I don't know, maybe the image thing, being from Wales also didn't, how many bands came from Wales in those days. And they never quite cracked the States. They were pretty big in the UK, and I think as well in Europe. But yeah, like I mentioned in that video as well, if you don't make it in the States, well, you haven't really made it, especially back in the late 60s and the early 70s. And that was when this band kind of started. All held together by a gent by the name of Burke Shelley, the lead vocalist and bass player, brilliant bass player. His vocals, for me, very similar to Geddy Lee from Rush. That's that high register stuff. Some people can't handle that kind of thing. For me, it's no problem. You get used to it after a while. And his vocals actually fit the music pretty well. So, without further ado, let me go through my 11 albums, or the 11 and how I rank them. Starting off with an album that nobody saw coming. Well, at least I didn't see it coming, because for all intents and purposes, I thought that Budgie was a done thing. They were done and dusted. Burke Shelley had some serious health issues over the years. And but lo and behold, 2006, an album was released called You're All Living in Cuckoo Land. And sometimes when I look at the news these days, that just rings really true. We are living in Cuckoo Land. Anyway, so this is the album. Quite a cool cover there. Sorry about the glare. There's the old Budgie with a hand. And yeah, this is my number 11. This is my last in the ranking. But it doesn't mean it's a bad album. It's just, for me personally, it's not up with the best. Like I said, this came out of nowhere. So who was in the band? Burke Shelley, obviously, he's there on bass, guitar, and vocals. Steve Williams on drums, and I think Steve Williams had been in the band prior to this. And Simon Lees on guitar and vocals. Excuse me, I just want to have my early morning coffee here. It's freezing in Cape Town. The sun's out, but it's freezing. It's winter here. And in the next couple of days, I think tomorrow and Saturday, there's a cold front going to hit us. So hopefully we'll get some rain, because we need it. So what is this label I'm trying to work out here? Noteworthy Production, Noteworthy Records. Haven't heard of them before. But anyway, 10 tracks. And I don't know if it's the production on the album or the weakness of the songwriting. There's nothing here that really grabs me. You know, I don't know. It's too long a break between this album and the one that they did prior to this. I mean, I think the last one before this would have been, when was it? In the 80s. So from the 80s to 2006, you know, I think they had been touring here and there, but Budgie as a going concern were pretty low key. Just want to see if there's anything I can show you inside. There's the CD. And inside it just shows you all the other albums. And inside, so Burke Shelley, bass guitar and vocals, there he is. Still looking not too bad there, but I saw one of the photographs recently just prior to him passing, and because he passed away a couple of years ago, and boy, the man did not look good. Taking a bit of strain. Steve Williams on drums. There we go. There's the man. There's just lyrics as well in here. And here we have Simon Lease on guitar and vocals. So Simon Lease, I thought was the guy who played for Heart, but that was, I think, Howard Lease. So Simon Lease, I'm not too sure where he comes from or who he played for. Design, Hugh Gilmore. Cover illustration, Dale Evans. It's quite a cool cover, that. What else can I tell you about the album? All tracks written by Shelley and Lease, except 3, 5, and 8 written by Shelley. Mixed and produced by Burke Shelley and Nigel Thomas. Mastered for CD by Mike Brown at Original Sound. And that's about it, really, 2006, like I mentioned. So some of the tracks on here, let me just go through them quickly. First one is Justice. And that's one of the stronger tracks on the album. Dead Men Don't Talk. The title track, We're All Living in Cuckoo Land. And like I mentioned, the production on this album is a bit weak. It just doesn't have the heft of the early Budgie. You know, it's a bit lightweight for me. Budgie light, if you like. Falling, Love Is Enough, Tell Me, I Don't Want to Find That Girl, Captain, I Don't Want to Throw You, and I'm Compressing the Comb on a Cockerel's Head. There had to be a strange title for one of the songs. Budgie's song titles have always been a source of amusement for many. And I mean, you're going to call a song I'm Compressing the Comb on a Cockerel's Head. Okay then. Whatever floats your boat. There's nothing memorable on here. I honestly can't remember anything apart from Justice, the first track. Captain, maybe. It just doesn't blow me away. It's okay. I mean, maybe they were just releasing this saying, look guys, we're still around. I mean, I don't think they were expecting big things with this album. And maybe it was just something that Burke Shelley had to get off his chest, you know, do one last hurrah, which in fact it would be. So that's my bottom of the list, my number 11, Budgie's You're All Living in Cuckoo Land. Next up, an album from the 80s, if I've got that right. Where are we here? Power Supply, 1980 in fact. So this would kind of piggyback on the new wave of British heavy metal that was happening around that time. You know, that whole big movement. But I don't think they really did it as well as Motorhead, Priest, and a few Black Sabbath. This album didn't do big things for them really. And it's one of the albums I really reach for. That being Power Supply. So who's in the band here? You've got, if I can read the small writing, that's what I hate about CDs. This is on Active Records. Let me just see if there's anything inside that I can read that's just clearer. No. Just trying to see. Burke Shelley, obviously he's on guitar, on bass. Ray Thomas, I think, is on drums. And sure, Tony Williams is on drums. Ray Thomas is on guitar. That's the three. I hate the small writing. That's the only thing I love about vinyl. You can read, because these eyes aren't as good as they used to be. Anyway, there's the cover. Four-Arm Smash was a pretty big hit from this album. And you can hear it's of the times. It's that new wave of British heavy metal sound. Nice riff to it. Hellbender's not bad. Heavy Revolution, Gunslinger, the title track Power Supply, Secrets in My Head, Time to Remember, and Crime Against the World. And there's a few additional tracks: Wildfire, High School Girls, Panzer Division Destroyed, which is okay, and Lies of Jim, the E-Type cover. And this is on the Repertoire label. A lot of their music was on that German label, Repertoire. Some nice reissues on that label. And as you can hear, I'm not enthusing about this album. I'm not going on about the song because it doesn't resonate with me. It's okay-ish. It is better than the last one I just mentioned, the last album they did, but it's also, it suffers production-wise as far as I'm concerned. It's doesn't have that ballsy feel to it, which definitely the early stuff did. So you can kind of guess where I'm going with my top 5 or whatever. Yeah, plus 4 bonus tracks, which I did just mention. Sorry, not the world's most inventive cover, but for me, sometimes a cover does make an album. It grabs your attention straight away. And anyway, there's a picture of the band on the stage, or the crowd, and the Marshall amps at the back. These boys could get pretty loud when they wanted to. Pretty much a power trio right throughout their career. Then we go to Power Supply. No, we don't. We go to Deliver Us From Evil. And that comes in at number 9. Here we go. Hands with the Flowers. And Burke Shelley. Excuse me, obviously he's still there on vocals and bass. Steve Williams on drums. Duncan McKay on keyboards. So he was just in the studio, I think. I don't think he toured. And John Williams on guitar. And Steve Williams on drums. So there's 2 Williamses here. There we go. There's the 3 guys. So I might have got the names wrong on this one here. So I think this is the same lineup. So it's 2 Williams, very great Welsh surname, and then I'm lying here, it's John Thomas on guitar. I'm sorry, I haven't had enough coffee this morning. Steve Williams, John Thomas, and Burke Shelley. Yeah, got that right for you. Yeah, Deliver Us From Evil. It's okay. Also on Repertoire Records. Bored with Rush is a good track. Don't Cry is not bad. Truth, Drug, Young Girl. This also came out in the 80s. This was 82, and it also has that 80s sound to it in the production. NORAD's okay. Give Me the Truth. Finger on the Button. Hold On to Love. Let's see if I can show you anything inside. It's just a bog standard CD. And they seem to have the same story inside a lot of these, telling you the origins of Budgie and who's in the band. There's Burke Shelley. These glasses, he always looked like somebody's granny, which is probably one of the reasons why they never went over that big in the States. The States is a lot about image. So there we go. That was Deliver Us From Evil, and that comes in at number 9. 10, 11, 9. Night Flight is the next one, number 8. I like that cover. Interesting stuff. It's supposed to be like the Incas, I think. And there's the Budgie in full uniform, and there's his spaceship at the top. And this is the same lineup. John Thomas, Burke Shelley, and Mr. Williams. There's the 3 of them at the back there. Sorry about this glare. Now this album I like, because it's still got that early Budgie sound, that kind of heaviness to it. Especially the first track's got a really great riff, Turn to Stone. Keeping a Rendezvous is very different. It's almost like a poppy feel to it, that track. But it works. Reaper of the Glory's good. She Used Me Up. Don't Lay Down and Die. Apparatus, Superstar. That's also good. Change Your Ways, and Untitled Lullaby. So that's 9 tracks. All fairly short. I think the longest is about 4 minutes. And this is also on the Repertoire Records label. Some of these I think I got as picture discs, so I must just check as I go through. Is there anything else I can show? No, it's the same story as the others. Yeah, so this is actually quite a cool. I like the production on this album, and some nice guitar work. Like I said, it's still got that sort of ballsy feel to it. So that was Night Flight. Then coming in at number 7, nice play on words here for this album. If I were Britannia, I'd waive the rules. There we go. If you know your history, you know that saying. So there's 3 budgies in their space outfits, zooming around. Quite an interesting cover. And so who's on here? This is the same lineup, I think. No, Tony Borge, the original guitarist, is still here on guitar. And let me just see if there's anything else I can tell you inside here, if it's the same. No, Ray Phillips is on drums. He was the original drummer, sorry. So let's see if there's any difference here. No. So this has got Tony Borge on guitar. His guitar work I really loved. It's got that nice raw riffing to it. Unique style as well when he goes into the lead solos. So what are the tracks on here? And Again is very good. It's also a play on words, and Again. Then you got the title track. Your Opening Doors is good. Quack Tour and Bureaucrats. Sky High Percentage, Heaven Knows Our Name, and Black Velvet Stallion. And they've saved the best for last on this album. And that's quite a lengthy track. It's 8 minutes and 7 seconds. And what I like about that track, it's got prog elements to it. It starts off very moody with, I think, just the bass guitar, sort of eerie start, and then it picks up through. And they do that quite a bit on the early stuff as well. So this is a really good album. This comes in at number 7. If I was Britannia, I'd waive the rules. Yeah, nothing else to tell you on here. All tracks written by Borge and Shelley. He was Tony Borge was also one of the main songwriters in the early days. Moving on swiftly, we get to their sludgy, very sludgy. I mean, this is a power trio sludge proto metal standout album, their first album, simply called Budgie. There we go, there's that cover, love it. And that goes all the way back to 1971, when everything was happening in the rock world. So there you got Tony Borge, there's Ray Phillips, the drummer, and there's Mr. Burke Shelley, the granny. You see what I mean? Shame, I mustn't be that cruel. Now the writing on here is really small. Guts is a great track. That's so heavy, it's brutal almost. Everything, jeez, this writing is terrible. Everything, My Heart, The Author, Rope of the Locks. This is a pretty raw album, but it's a starting point. You know, they had to get going somewhere, and I like it just for that, for the fact that it's a raw album. So this is one of the picture discs. There we go. Released by Repertoire Records. They did a few of these that I managed to get hold of. I'm trying to remember where I got all my Budgie. I think I got it from. I first had Budgie on vinyl. For whatever reason, I got rid of them, and then I picked these CDs up, and I was lucky to get these picture discs. So yeah, there we go. Very much a 70s look there, 1971. So that's number 6, top 5. And my 5th one might surprise some people. They may have put it a bit lower. But you know how some albums, you remember a certain place or a certain time because of an album, and that's this album. I was in, many years ago, I was on holiday in Amarnis, and I still had one of those Walkmans. And one of the cassettes that I had was this album, before I had the CD, and it just grew on me. I played it over and over and over. That's the thing I like about this album. For whatever reason, for me personally, the song stuck in my head. There was a lot of melody, slightly different to the very early stuff. So I'm waffling on about the album called Impeccable. There's the cat and the budgie, and at the back, there's the budgie flying off with the cat. Yes, highly improbable. So who's in the band? Burke Shelley, bass vocals, Tony Bors on guitar, and Steve Williams on drums and percussion and vocals. So I think Steve Williams on drums was the guy who was on in the drum stool, I should say, the longest in the band. Produced by the band. This came out in 1978. Melt the Ice Away. I honestly love the beginning of that track. It comes in with a sort of a drum intro. The guitar work is stunning. There's some really nice slow lead on this album as well. Love for You and Me, All at Sea. Beautiful track. That's what I like about Budgie as well. You know that besides the heavy riffing stuff, they could get really sort of, not ethereal, that's the wrong word to use, acoustic-y and quite mellow. Just beautiful stuff. Dish It Up, Pyramids, Smile Boy Smile, which is more of a rock and roll thing, really. It's got that kind of feel. I'm a Faker Too, another sort of proggy song. Don't Go Away, another beautiful slow track. And then Don't Dilute the Water. And that's the final track. Excellent lyrics to that track as well. I'm trying to think, I'm sure there was a cover on here. Gee, why did I think there was a cover on here? I'm sure they did the one that AC/DC did and everybody else did. Maybe they released that as a single. Anyway, Impeccable. Great album. For me, you know, you might rank this a little lower, but it's worth a listen. And I like the different styles on here. You know, they switch it up quite a bit. Anyway, there we go. Impeccable, and that comes in at number 5. This one, my next one at number 4, might rank a bit higher with some people, in fact a lot of people. It's just, you know, I have certain history with my number 1 and my number 2. Talking about Squawk, that great Roger Dean cover there. There's the Budgie's beak. And I think that was supposed to be that American stealth bomber or whatever it's called. This is Budgie in the early days. This is raw, in-your-face stuff. And there's some standout album tracks on here. I'll get my words correct in a second. Whiskey River, great stuff. The bass work on this album just puts, you know, smacks you in the face. Rocking Man, Rolling Home, Make Me Happy. Here's another one of those great tracks. Hot as a Docker's Armpit. That sounds disgusting. Another one of my favorites, Drugstore Woman, Bottled, Young as a World, and Stranded. Really strong album. The production is great on here as well. It's not as muddy as the debut. Let's see if there's anything I can show you inside here. 1972 this came out. There's no more. There's no other pictures in there, but they do mention Black Sabbath and Deep Purple and Led Zeppelin. You know, these guys for me were as good as anything those bands released in the early days. They just didn't get the breaks, unfortunately. But yeah, this is a standout album. These are 3 guys. And it's really worth getting. Phillips on drums. Roy Phillips is the original drummer on here. Tony Bors on guitar. And Burke Shelley on bass and vocals. Squawk. Brilliant album. Then we go back to Bandolier, and that was released in 1975. There we go. I love that cover. Budgies on Horses. Why not? And this is at number 3 for me. Let's just check my notes here. Yeah, this is with a different drummer. This isn't Ray Phillips. I think this is Mr. Thomas on drums here. Tony Bors on guitar, Burke Shelley. And no, it's Mr. Williams on drums here. And there's Mr. Williams, and there's Tony Bors, and there's Burke Shelley. Oh, they changed the drum stool so many times in this band. I love the tracks. And you're breaking all the house rules. That was a fairly big hit from this album. Slip Away, I think that's more of a mellow track. Who Do You Want For Your Love, which is sort of a proggy track. It's got different parts to it. I Can't See My Feelings with some great vocals from Burke Shelley. Like I mentioned, his vocals might get some on the tits of some people. But I think it just works so well in this band. Then the last two tracks, I Ain't No Mountain, with some really cool lyrics. And my favorite, they like playing with words, this band. Napoleon Bonaparte 1 and Napoleon Bonaparte 2 with some brutal riffs in there. It also has like different parts, obviously part 1 and part 2, but it's kind of proggy in spots as well. So this is also on the repertoire, that German label. And here we go. This is another one of those picture discs. How cool is that? I'm really lucky to get these, I must say. Is there anything else I can show you? No. So there we go. And that comes in at number 3, Bandolier. Yeah. 99 Rand 95 from Musica way back when. Gee, I think you can actually pick up the CD, not the picture disc, but if you're lucky, you can probably pick this up for under $100 these days. Vinyl, I'm not so sure. I still wish I had my vinyl, but you do stupid things over the years. There we go, number 3. Number 2, and this for some people might be number 1 as well. My number 1 always stays the same because it's got, I can relate to it. It resonates with me from a certain time, etc., etc. Coming in at number 2, this is the album I spoke about in my previous video, Never Turn Your Back on a Friend from Budgie. There's another Roger Dean cover. Is this a picture disc? No, it's not. Not many tracks, but some of them are pretty lengthy. It's only 7 tracks. Burke Shelley on bass and vocals, Tony Borge on lead guitar, acoustic guitar and vocal, and Ray Phillips on drums. Ray Phillips is the original drummer. And that's the really cool Roger Dean cover. And there's the 3 guys. Phillips, Shelley, and Borge in all their glory. Yeah. This is a cool, there's another small shot of the guys at the top there. What I like about this album in particular is the light and shade. Like I mentioned, the sort of mellower stuff mixed in with the brutal riffs. So the first track, Bread Fan, is probably their biggest hit. Most people with a passing knowledge of Budgie would know, with that well-known riff that starts the track. Baby Please, there's the cover I was thinking of. I thought it wasn't on Impeccable. It's actually on this album, Baby Please Don't Go, which has been done by AC/DC and God knows how many people. Cool version of that. I'm not big on covers, bands doing covers. I'd rather hear something original. You Know I'll Always Love You. That's a beautiful song. So much feeling put into it by Burke Shelley in his voice. And a great mellow track. Then a sort of a proggy track, You're the Biggest Thing Since Powdered Milk. Another cool song, In the Grip of a Tire Fitter's Hand. I love these tracks, these titles. Riding My Nightmare, that's another mellow track. That and You Know I'll Always Love You are just 2 standouts. And then the best track for the last. They always seem to save the best for last. A track called Parents, all about growing up and relationships and what have you. And yeah, beautiful song. Also picks up towards the end. So that's my number 2. So if you know your Budgie, you'll know what my number 1 is. And it has been my number 1 for many years. And a couple of tracks off here. And I think Bread Fan as well have been covered by Metallica, amongst other people. And I'm talking about Budgie's In for the Kill. Probably the heaviest album that they released of the early stuff. And you got Burke Shelley on bass and vocals, Pete Boot on drums. So Ray Phillips was the first album. He was replaced by Pete Boot later on. And Tony Borge on guitar. And this is some of the best work that Tony Borge ever did, especially as far as the riffs go. And another album which doesn't have many tracks, another 7 tracks. Also on the repertoire label. And yes, It's a picture disc. Great stuff. So what do we have on here? Small writing. The first track just hits you in the face. The bass and the drums on this are so locked in, and it's typical early 70s. Bass up front, sludgy stuff, power trio, proto metal, whatever you want to call it. In for the Kill, the title track. Dan, 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 dan. I just love it. And then it gets followed up by an equally good blistering track. Crash Course in Brain Surgery. There we go. Why not? And then we get to track 3, which is kind of a proggy track, which has got different parts to it. So I'm spitting all over the CD here. Wondering What Everyone Knows. Beautiful vocals from Burke Shelley again. And then, was it that? No, I think it's the next track that's quite proggy, the one called Zoom Club, which starts off with sort of like a drum in an echo chamber somewhere, and then the song just slowly comes in. Very cleverly done. Then we get to side 2, Hammer and Tongs, another heavy song. Running From My Door, and Living on Your Own. And that's the album. But for me, this is the best of the early Budgie. There's not a bad track on here, really. You know, I might at some stage give this a number 1, but as I say, I've just got history with this album. And if I do reach for Budgie, I invariably reach for this one first. It's just, yeah, it's a great album. I don't know if these have been re-released with extra tracks or whatever. I'm sure they have. You know, everything gets re-released these days, but I'd love to hear some of the B-sides and whatever from this particular album. And if it's anything as strong as the actual album, it'll definitely be worth listening to. There's nothing else I can show you. This is a very, yeah, that's about it really. But yeah, as I mentioned, I'm glad I got that picture disc. So I've got 3 picture discs of the 11. There we go, guys. I hope I haven't bored you too much, or waffled on a bit too long. What are we now, 32 minutes? Let me get out of your hair. Hope you enjoyed the video. And if you're a Budgie fan, like I mentioned, please down below, let me know what your top rankings are, your top 5, or if you have all 11, let me know how you rank them. That's how I rank them, from number 11 to number 1. Of course, it's not, you know, gospel, it's my personal rankings. I'd love to hear from you guys. Down below, give me a thumbs up, any comments like I mentioned, and if you haven't done so yet, please subscribe. It does help the channel. And yeah, I'll catch you all again soon. Lovely day outside. I might go for a bit of a stroll before the rain hits us. Take it easy, guys. I'll catch you soon. Bye-bye.